Georg Wilhelm Friedrich Hegel was a monumental figure in the landscape of German idealism, a philosopher whose thoughts would ripple through the corridors of history long after his passing. Born in the city of Stuttgart in the year 1770, he was destined to become one of the most influential, and indeed, one of the most challenging, thinkers in the Western philosophical tradition. His early life was marked by a deep engagement with the classics, theology, and the unfolding political drama of the French Revolution, an event that profoundly shaped his understanding of historical change. He witnessed the revolutionary fervor firsthand, an experience that would later be intellectualized into his grand theory of history's progress. Hegel's philosophical system is vast and notoriously complex, yet at its heart lies a dynamic and revolutionary concept, the dialectic. This was not merely a method of argument for Hegel, but the very engine of reality, the process through which all of history, consciousness, and spirit unfolds. He proposed that history was not a chaotic jumble of unrelated events, a mere tale told by an idiot, full of sound and fury, signifying nothing. Instead, he saw it as a rational, intelligible, and teleological process. It was the story of the world's spirit, or Geist, coming to know itself. This Geist is not a mystical entity floating in the ether, but the collective consciousness of humanity, evolving over millennia. The ultimate goal of this grand historical journey was the realization of freedom. Hegel's conception of freedom was nuanced and far-reaching. It was not simply the absence of constraint, but the rational self-determination of the individual within a rational state. He famously charted the progress of freedom through distinct historical stages. In the ancient Oriental world, as he termed it, only one person, the despot, was truly free. The masses lived in a state of undifferentiated unity, their individuality subsumed by the will of the single ruler. Then came the Greco-Roman world, a significant advancement in the story of freedom. Here some were free. The citizens of the polis, or the Roman Republic, enjoyed a degree of liberty and political participation. However, this freedom was exclusive, built upon the bedrock of slavery and the exclusion of vast segments of the population. The concept of universal freedom, the idea that all human beings are inherently free, had not yet dawned upon the world's consciousness. This crucial development, according to Hegel, arrived with the advent of Christianity and was further solidified during the Protestant Reformation. The Reformation, in particular, internalized freedom, locating it within the individual's conscience and their direct relationship with God. Finally, the modern era, ushered in by the Enlightenment and the French Revolution, was tasked with actualizing this inner freedom in the external world. The rational state, with its laws and institutions, became the arena in which universal freedom could be fully realized and protected for all citizens. The mechanism driving this historical progression is the dialectic. While often simplified into the triad of thesis, antithesis, synthesis, a terminology Hegel himself did not explicitly use, the core idea is one of development through conflict and contradiction. Every state of affairs, every idea or historical moment, the thesis contains within it an inherent incompleteness or internal contradiction. This internal tension gives rise to its opposite, the antithesis, a force of negation that challenges the initial state. The conflict between thesis and antithesis is not a destructive dead end, but a productive struggle. From this clash emerges a new, higher stage, the synthesis, which resolves the conflict by preserving the valid elements of both opposing sides while transcending their limitations. This process is called Aufhebung, or sublation, a crucial Hegelian concept that means simultaneously to cancel, to preserve, and to lift up. The synthesis is not a final resting place. It becomes a new thesis, complete with its own internal contradictions, thus setting the stage for a new dialectical cycle. This spiraling, upward movement is the rhythm of history, constantly pushing the Geist towards greater self-awareness and more complete freedom. To illustrate this, Hegel provided the famous master-slave dialectic in his work, The Phenomenology of Spirit. This is not merely a sociological observation, but a profound allegory for the development of self-consciousness. In a primordial struggle for recognition, two consciousnesses confront each other. One, fearing death, submits to the other, becoming the slave, while the victor becomes the master. Initially, the master appears to be the free and independent consciousness, recognized by the slave and enjoying the fruits of the slave's labor. The slave, in contrast, seems to be the dependent, unfree consciousness, whose existence is defined by service to the master. However, the dialectic reveals a dramatic reversal. The master's consciousness stagnates. His identity is dependent on the recognition of someone he does not himself recognize as fully human. He consumes, but does not create. The slave, on the other hand, through his work, transforms the natural world. In shaping objects, the slave externalizes his own consciousness and comes to see himself in the products of his labor. Through the discipline of work and the fear of the master, the slave develops a sense of self, an inner independence that the master lacks. The slave ultimately transcends his initial condition, becoming more self-aware than the master. This parable demonstrates how consciousness develops through struggle, and how the seemingly subordinate element can, through its own activity, achieve a higher state of being. Hegel's philosophy was not confined to the abstract realm of ideas. He saw the dialectic at play in the concrete events of his time. He famously referred to Napoleon Bonaparte as the world spirit on horseback, an individual who, while pursuing his own ambitions for power and glory, was unwittingly acting as an agent for historical progress. Napoleon's conquests, in Hegel's view, served to dismantle the old feudal orders of Europe and spread the modern, rational principles of the French Revolution, thereby advancing the cause of freedom. This is what Hegel called the cunning of reason, List der Vernunft. History uses individuals, even their passions and selfish desires, to achieve its own rational ends. The great world historical individuals are those whose personal goals align with the next great step in the spirit's development. They are both actors and instruments in a drama far larger than themselves. They may be tragic figures, often destroyed by the very forces they unleash, but their actions are essential for the march of history. The culmination of this historical process for Hegel was the modern, rational state, which he saw embodied in the Prussian monarchy of his day. This has been a point of significant controversy, with critics accusing him of being a mere apologist for the existing political order. However, Hegel's conception of the state was an idealized one. It was a state governed by law, where individual subjectivity and universal ethical life were reconciled. In this ideal state, the citizen freely chooses to align their will with the rational laws of the community, not out of coercion, but because they recognize those laws as the objective expression of freedom itself. The family provides a sphere of immediate unity, civil society a sphere of individualistic competition and interdependence, and the state a sphere of universal altruism, where citizens work for the common good. This synthesis of particular and universal interests represented the highest achievement of the Geist in the political realm. Hegel's influence on subsequent philosophy is immeasurable, though his legacy is complex and contested. His students, known as the young Hegelians, took his ideas in radical new directions. Figures like Ludwig Feuerbach and, most famously, Karl Marx were profoundly shaped by Hegel's dialectical method. Marx, however, would famously turn Hegel on his head. He rejected Hegel's idealism, the notion that ideas and consciousness were the primary drivers of history. Instead, Marx proposed dialectical materialism, arguing that material conditions, economic forces, and class struggle were the true engines of historical change. For Marx, history was not the story of the Geist realizing freedom, but the story of human societies evolving through different modes of production, from feudalism to capitalism, and ultimately towards a communist future. Despite this fundamental disagreement, Marx's entire framework of historical analysis, with its emphasis on contradiction, revolution, and the emergence of new social orders from the ashes of the old, is deeply indebted to the Hegelian dialectic. Beyond Marx, Hegel's thought echoed through existentialism, with Søren Kierkegaard's passionate defense of the individual against Hegel's universalizing system. It influenced phenomenology, critical theory, and various schools of 20th century thought. His work, The Phenomenology of Spirit, remains a towering and formidable peak of philosophical literature, tracing the journey of consciousness from its most basic sensory perceptions to the heights of absolute knowing. His philosophy of right continues to shape debates in political theory, and his lectures on the philosophy of history offer a powerful, if controversial, framework for understanding the past. To study Hegel is to grapple with the very nature of thought, reality, and time. It is to confront a system that seeks to comprehend the totality of existence as a single, unfolding, rational process. He was the philosopher who saw history not as a blind current, but as a river carving a deliberate path toward the ocean of freedom. His vision was of a world where the rational is real, and the real is rational. A world constantly becoming, constantly striving, constantly revealing its own intricate and profound logic. The dialectic was his key to unlocking this logic, a key that would be used and reinterpreted by generations of thinkers who followed in his wake, forever changing the course of modern intellectual history. He taught us to see the struggle of opposites not as a sign of chaos, but as the very pulse of progress. The story of an idea is the story of its opposition and its eventual, triumphant synthesis. History itself, for Hegel, was the grandest of all dialectical arguments, written across the canvas of time. The philosopher's task was not to predict the future, but to understand the rational necessity of what has been and what is. As he famously wrote, "The owl of Minerva spreads its wings only with the falling of the dusk." Understanding comes only in retrospect, after a historical form of life has grown old. This reflective understanding is the highest freedom of the spirit. It is the moment when the Geist looks back upon its long journey and finally comprehends itself. Hegel's philosophy is this act of comprehension, a monumental effort to grasp the rational soul of the world. It is a testament to the power of human reason to find meaning in the tumultuous flow of events. The dialectic is the heartbeat of this process, a relentless rhythm of negation and preservation. It is the logic of life itself, in all its conflict and all its glory. The journey of the spirit is a path of struggle, but it is a struggle that ultimately leads to reconciliation and self-knowledge. This optimistic belief in the rationality of existence is Hegel's enduring and most challenging legacy. He dared to see the entirety of human experience as a single, coherent story. And in doing so, he provided a powerful lens through which to view our own past, present, and future. The evolution of history was, for Hegel, the evolution of thought itself. The world was not a static backdrop for human action, but a living, breathing process of becoming. Every civilization, every war, every philosophical idea was a necessary step on this path. The end of history, for Hegel, was not an apocalyptic event, but the moment when humanity achieves a full and rational consciousness of its own freedom within a just society. It is the point where the spirit's journey of self-discovery is complete. This is the ultimate synthesis, the final reconciliation of the individual and the universal, the subjective and the objective. It is the culmination of the dialectical drama that is played out across the ages. Hegel's system is a profound meditation on this drama. It is a call to see the world not as a collection of disparate facts, but as an interconnected, meaningful whole. His philosophy demands that we think historically, that we see our own lives as part of a larger narrative. It is a narrative of struggle, of pain, and of loss, but also one of progress, of reason, and of hope. The dialectic ensures that nothing is ever truly lost. It is sublated, preserved in a higher form. This is the essence of Hegel's historical optimism. The past is not dead. It lives on in the present. And the present is pregnant with the future, a future that will be born from the contradictions of our own time. This is the enduring power of Hegel's vision. He gave us a way to think about change not as a threat, but as an opportunity. He showed us that history evolves, and that we are all participants in that evolution. The philosopher's role is to make sense of this evolution, to trace the path of the spirit through the labyrinth of time. Hegel was that philosopher, the one who saw history evolve and dared to map its rational course. His work is a challenge to all who come after him, to find the reason in reality, to see the universal in the particular, and to understand our place in the grand, unfolding story of the world spirit.